Okay, Erev Tov, good evening, everyone. Tonight we are going to conclude our topic of the last Mishnah, which had to do with how we say Shema Yisrael, how that I have to say Shema audibly. We had the last Mishnah. There was a couple parts about whether you hear it or not, about how precise you are in the reading, about reading it out of order. That's something that we're going to conclude tonight, and then we're going to pick up with the next Mishnah that again continues to speak about Shema Yisrael, but in a different context. So for anyone that's joining, we have a new member in person tonight, Baruch Hashem. There is a new topic. Before we jump into that, we're going to do some Agada, a nice, very nice Gemara that has to do with the importance of Torah study and how important the studying of Torah is, how powerful it is, how effective it is. And just because we are starting the month of Elul, tonight is the first night of Elul, because when you have 2 days Rosh Chodesh, the first one is the 30th of the prior month. So this morning was the 30th of the month of Av. And now tonight is the first of Elul. When we start in the month of Elul, we think about slichot, we think about many, many things. One of the things we should be thinking about is increasing our Torah study. So it's a great way to start tonight's shiur on a note about Torah study. And then we're going to conclude the topic of Kriyat Shema, have some fun stories, and learn some new halachot about Shema. Okay? Everyone with me? Let's do this. Let's go. So we are recording. I'm going to share screen. All right. Let me be down here like a weatherman. Oh, no, this is better. Okay, share screen. Here we go. So we are picking up from Daf Tedvav Amud Bet 2 on the very, very, very last line. So let me, sorry, Tedvav is 15. It jumped. Okay, Tedvav Amud Bet on the very last line. Sorry. Sometimes this is where paper is better. Just turn the page. Okay. Sorry. What's going on? Okay, what page is it in the art scroll? 15B5, the very last line with the Amma Rabbi Chama Bar Rabbi Chanina. Okay, so now I got it. I'm going to share screen. Our last statement was said by Amar Rabbi on the previous line of the Gemara was by Rabbi Chama, the son of Rabbi Chanina. He said that when a person reads Shema precisely, it saves him from the pains of Gehenna. Okay, so that's what we spoke about last time. But this rabbi, Rabbi Chama, Rabbi Chanina, said another statement that is not related. Okay, so here we have a tangent, starting off with a tangent. I guess it doesn't make it a tangent if we start off with it, because we weren't anywhere. But so this Gemara tonight is not related to the prior Gemarot. V'amar Rabbi Chama, Rabbi Chanina, Rabbi Chama, the son of Rabbi Chanina, said the following: Lama nismechu ohalim linchalim. Okay, now we're turning the page to Daf Tet Zayin Amud Aleph 16A1. Why is it that in the Torah the word or the concept of an ohel, which is a tent, is juxtaposed to the concept of a river? This is a pasuk in Parashat Balak. Tichtiv, the pasuk says, Kinchalim nitayu keganot ale nahar. As streams stretched forth, nechalim are rivers, as rivers that are stretched, like gardens that are by the riverside. Keganot, gan is a river, is a garden. Ale nahar, that is by the river. Ka'ahalim nata, and here ahalim is referring to some sort of a tree or a fresh flower, something that smells good. So this word ka'ahalim nata. So this is talking about Am Yisrael, and the metaphor that Hashem, that Bilam really is giving about the Jewish people is that we are like rivers that are stretched out, like gardens that are by the river. Gardens by the river are very fertile. They're going to be very good land for growing. And then it says ka'ahalim nata, like these ahalim, these types of fragrant, what do they call them? Aloes planted by the Lord as cedars by the water. Again, the Jewish people are being compared to rivers to streams, and to good smelling, fragrant flowers, as well as cedar trees. This word ahalim sounds like the word ohel, tent. Now, actually, Tosfot says the comparison to the word, the juxtaposition to the word ohel actually is not this line, it's the line before. The line before is Ma tovu ohalecha Yaakov mishkenotecha Yisrael. How goodly, how great are your tents. And there it's the word tent, ohel. Ma tovu ohalecha Yaakov mishkenotecha Yisrael. Israel, your homes and your tents are so good. Kin chalim nitayu. You are like rivers. Okay? So essentially you have the Jewish people being compared to rivers, and there's praise of their tents. So there's a juxtaposition. That means the two concepts are set together of rivers and tents. And Rabbi Chama is asking, what does one have to do with the other? Lomar lacha, to tell you the following. Ma nechalim me'alin et adam mituma letahora, just as a river or a stream can elevate a person from tuma, being impure, to tahara, to being pure. How so? How does a river elevate a person from impurity to purity? Sorry? By going to the mikveh. That's right. A person becomes ritually impure, also physically impure, it becomes dirty, and they could go into a stream of water, and they ritually, going into the mikveh, they ritually purify themselves. Again, physically also, but we're talking about tuma and tahara here, which is a ritual idea. The impurity is gone by going into the river. So just as a river can do that, af ohalim ma'alin et adam mikaf chova lekaf zechut. So too, a tent can elevate a person from being guilty, the scale of guilt, to being innocent, or the scale of merit. Just as a river can change someone from being impure to pure, so too a tent can change a person from being guilty to merit, to having merits. What tent are we talking about? What tent can change us? Oh, very good, Andy. The tent of Torah study. Ohalim are referred to as tents in which we study Torah. So now I'm going to show you a Rambam, a famous Rambam, where he talks about the study of Torah as an ohel. And again, I think this is very good motivation as we're entering the month of Elul, because part of what we're thinking about now is we're facing judgment. God is going to judge us on Rosh Hashanah, and as He judges us, we don't know, are we guilty or are we not? Are we kaf chova or kaf zechut? So here is a way to tilt the scales towards kaf zechut. Look at this Rambam in Hilchot Talmud Torah, chapter 3, Halacha 12. Are you ready? In divrei Torah mitkayamin b'mi shemarpeh atzmo alehen. Torah is not going to be acquired by someone who approaches it softly. What's that word? Casually. Torah doesn't become a part of, isn't going to be acquired if someone is going to read it casually. V'lo be'elu shelomdin mitoch idun, not those who read it in very enjoyable ways. Umitoch achila o shtiya, and someone who's eating and drinking. Yeah, this doesn't mean that, yeah, sure, not me. Yeah, this doesn't mean that if you're eating and drinking, you shouldn't study Torah. But this means that in order, the Rambam is going to give us a mindset of how to study Torah. If a person actually wants to acquire Torah in its best form, is not while he's doing other things. It's not while he's kicked back, relaxed, drinking a beer, even eating some pizza and watching a shiur on the screen. But look, but someone who almost dies over it. Memit atzmo means he kills himself. Umitzaer gufo tamid, and he almost pains himself. V'lo yiten shena le'aynav, he doesn't go to sleep. Ulafapav tenuma, doesn't give slumber to his eyelids. Meaning, in order to, if a person wants greatness in Torah, they got to work hard for it. The truth is, this you could probably say this about anything and everything. If someone wants to achieve the highest of anything, they have to be the first one in, last one out. They have to be the one if you're in football, lahavdil. But the one that's there in the morning and he's 5 a.m. at practice and he's the one watching film until late at night and he's not leaving at all. That's the dedication that someone needs. Lahavdil, it's not the same thing at all. But with Torah, Rambam is telling us here is that a person who wants to acquire Torah, make it a part of him, has to give it all. Amru Chachamim derech remez. Chachamim said as an allusion, as a hint, they alluded to this concept in the following pasuk. Zot Torah adam ki amud be'ohel. Okay, pay attention to the words because this is why I'm bringing this Gemara. In Parashat Chukat, it talks about the law of what someone does if they come in contact with a corpse, or they are in the same ohel as a dead body, as a corpse. So what does the Torah say? It says, this is the law, Zota Torah. Torah here means the law. Zota Torah, Adam ki yamut ba'ohel. This is the law of when there's a corpse inside of a tent. Someone dies in a tent, and you're there, then you become impure, then you have to go through the purification process. But we read it differently. Zota Torah, not this is the law of, but this is how to acquire Torah. Zota Torah, this is how to acquire Torah. How? Adam ki yamut be'ohel. A person has to kill himself in the tent of Torah. En haTorah mitkayemet el b'mi shememit atzmo ba'aholei chachamim. The Torah a person will only be successful in Torah, and it will only be acquired if someone is willing to give up his life in the tents of wisdom. It doesn't mean he's actually giving up his life. It means he's dedicating his life with full energy. Okay, and he quotes a few more psukim. We don't need to go through all of them. And then just two more things. He says at the end, when a person studies Torah, they should do it. You know what? I don't want to skip. Let me read the other lines. Shlomo HaMelech said in MISHNA, Hitrapita beyom tsar kochecha ve'od amar af chokhmati amda li chokhma shalamati be'af hi amda li. Essentially, he's learning all of these psukim to say that the chokhmah, the Torah that I studied when I put the most energy in, that's what stuck with me. If someone wants to lift weights and they're lifting weights and they're pushing themselves and they're very exhausted and the body is tired and they're doing 20 push-ups and they get to 20, let me do 21, and you do 21. That 21st push-up is really what's going to make the muscle grow. Not number one. Number one is not going to make your muscle grow, meaning for that person. For me, maybe. For me, if I just even do one, it's Baruch Hashem, it's already growing. But if someone is doing 20 every single day, then what do you need to do? You need to push one more. You need to push one more. That extra push of when someone is exhausted and they're all out of energy and they push, that's where the change happens. So this is where they're saying, "Ah chokhmati amdali." The chokhmah that I learned when I was pushing myself to the what's it called? To the border, pushing myself to my limit. That's where my chokhmah was made. Amru chachamim brit kruta shekol hayagia b'torato b'beit hamidrash lo b'meirahu mishakeach. Again, he says there's like a guarantee that when someone really works hard in the Beit Midrash and studies Torah, Hashem is going to help him to remember. When someone works very hard in a quiet place, not public, but private. Now, doesn't mean no one is watching, but that means like with yourself. This is something that you got to do with yourself, is you have to work hard. When someone does that, there's a guarantee he's going to become wise. When someone studies Torah, he should hear himself. It should be audible. All of his senses should be involved. It shouldn't be something that he does just with his eyes, but it should be with his voice. It should be something with his ears. This is why I don't know where I said this. I said this somewhere recently, that if you go to the library, it's like, shh, you got to be silent. If you come to the Beit Midrash, look what we're competing with. Baruch Hashem, it's loud. We could be louder. But that's part of the Torah, is something that has to be acquired through loud, not through quiet. When someone reads silently, he's going to forget it. This is what the Rambam says. So when someone is studying, let's say it's relaxed time, you're ready to go to bed, you open up a novel, you open up a book, you open up a Gemara, and you read it with your eyes, and then you go to sleep. The Rambam says, okay, look, obviously it's good to do that. But if a person really wants to acquire it, then it's more than just, let me read this nonchalantly, let me read this casually. Person has to give energy to it. It has to be with intensity. Where did I say this? Did I say this here?
I think Haskech Shema Israel.
I said it last week here. Okay, honestly, I don't know. Baruch Hashem. Okay, good. I have the same passion, no intensity. We have to be intense when you say it. I think I said this somewhere else recently also. So yes, this is what the Rambam tells us, and it's all connected to our Gemara. Our Gemara V'chama tells us that why is it that tents are likened to streams, because a stream of water can purify someone. The Torah purifies them. I'll just end you off with this one mashal. There's always this question of someone who says, I can't remember my Torah. I study, but it goes in one ear, out the other. And I try to attain, but I always forget. I don't have good memory. So this question is posed, you could imagine, ever since there was a brain. This question was, or anyone trying to study. And I believe it was quoted to the story is said to the Chafetz Chaim, but the others say this as well, is that there's someone that has a barrel and he's trying to get water in the barrel, but there's a hole on the other side. So every time he fills it up, water comes out and he gets frustrated. He says, what? It's coming in one hole, out the other. So he goes to the person that's asking to do this. He's like, I don't understand why you're asking me to take this barrel and take water and move it around. The whole time everything falls out. He says, I'll tell you why. Because my task for you, what I was asking you to do is to wash the barrel. That's all I wanted you to do. In the sense that if water goes in and comes out, there's an effect. It's cleaning it. It's still cleaning it. And this is the way the Chafetz Chaim likens that. If a person studies Torah and doesn't even remember one thing, if everything comes out, it's still good. Because the fact that it goes into us is important. The fact that the Torah goes into us. Now, obviously, you want to try to keep as much of it as possible. And as the Rambam is telling us, there's ways to do that by saying it loud, by giving energy. You come to remember. But even if a person doesn't remember, studying the Torah, this is what our Gemara is telling us. It tilts the scales towards zechut, towards merit. So, Baruch Hashem, we're entering the month of Elul. We're thinking about Yom Hadin. We're thinking about Judgment Time. There's no better time than to dedicate ourselves to the study of Torah. And Bezrat Hashem should write us all in the book of life as we're entering in this month of Elul. Okay? Here we go. Okay, cool. I think you said this when explaining Hasket to Shema Yisrael. Yeah, okay. Now you're right. I did say this. Hasket is what? Gemara, Berachot 16A. Yeah, last page. And we quoted the Gemara, Berachot, I believe we said 16A. Or something like that. Okay, let's keep going. Share screen. Boom, we're going to have some fun stories. Okay. Hakoreh lemafreya lo yatsa. The last law of our Mishnah that we said that we're going to review tonight is if a person reads the Shema out of order, he does not fulfill his obligation. Look at the screen for a second. Am I sharing screen? Yeah. So if you look at the screen here, what I did was I just put the Shema Yisrael, because this is going to be important for us. We have Shema Yisrael. This line is not actually part of it. Baruch Hashem is not part of it. Then we have paragraph number 1, Ve'ahavta. Then paragraph number 2 of Vehaya. Paragraph number 3 of Vayomer. And we said, the Mishnah says if a person says the Shema out of order, he does not fulfill his obligation. I mentioned that there's two opinions as to what that means. According to Rashi, Rashi says if a person reads and says, Uvish arecha, beitecha, mezuzot, al, uchtavtam, he doesn't fulfill his obligation. Rashi says he does not fulfill his obligation. Rabbi Yonah says, of course, because what you're saying doesn't make any sense. But what they say is, even if someone says, uchtavtam mezuzot beitecha visharecha, ukshartam meot yadecha va'eretzuva benanecha, v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam. So he's reading the lines in order. That within each line, it's in order. But he's reading the lines in the wrong order. That's what the Mishnah is telling us, that you do not fulfill your obligation. So you cannot do the Shema out of order. Now, let's say, what happens if I forget, if I don't know where I'm up to? So let's see, it's a pretty funny story in the Gemara. Let's go ahead and see it. Rabbi Amir, Rabbi Aseh, havu katrin le genana le Rabbi Elazar. So Rabbi Ami and Rabbi Asi, they were making a chuppa for Rabbi Elazar. So you know how you go get a florist and you give him, I don't know, like $20,000 to give you a bunch of flowers that are going to be gone in like 4 hours from now. So instead of doing that, he went to his rabbis. He went to Rabbi Ami and he went to Rabbi Asi and he says, guys, I can't afford the florist. Can you help me out with building the chuppah? He said, there's no better mitzvah in the world than building a chuppah to get a couple married. We'll do it. So here Rabbi Ameh and Rabbi Aseh are building the chuppah together with Rabbi Elazar, for Rabbi Elazar, the students. So Amar Lahu, the student is there, and what do they tell him? They say, relax, you're a chatan, Avzama, you don't need to do this yourself. You sit back, relax. So he's just sitting there watching. He says, I'm not gonna just sit here and watch. So so he says, so if you guys are gonna do this and you're telling me don't strain myself and don't work, I'm gonna go to the Beit Midrash. I'll go to the yeshiva, I'll go to the shiur, and I'll tell you what they're saying. How about that? While you're doing this, I'll go to the school, I'll hear what they're talking about, and I'll come back and I'll share it with you. So Azal, so he went to the yeshiva. This is the Aghzama. The day of his wedding. Amazing. The day of his wedding, he's going to shiur. Azal ashkeche letana the katane kamed Rabbi Elazar. So he goes to the yeshiva and he sees that there is someone who is teaching Braitot, who is quoting Braitot in front of Rabbi Yochanan. Rabbi Yochanan was the main rabbi, and what this Tana was doing, he wasn't really a Tana, he was quoting different Braitot to see what does Rabbi Yochanan say. Rabbi Yochanan says, that's a good one, that halacha is like this, halacha is not like that, yes, this is the details. So he's quoting different Braitot. Remember, Braitot were not recorded, they weren't written. The Braitot were all oral. So there was this one, he had a tradition. He was a, let's say he had photographic memory, or not really photographic because he didn't actually read it, but he had great memory. So he would just come in front of the school, he would say it, and Rabbi Yochanan would say, okay, this, okay, that. So what happened? This is the Braita. This is what the Braita says. Kara v'ta'a. Someone is reading the Shema, and then he makes a mistake. He loses his place. If yodea lehechan ta'a. He doesn't know where he made his mistake, okay? So let's say you're saying the Shema, and you doze off, and then I ask you, where are you up to? And you say, I have no clue. Are you up to the last word, the first word, first paragraph? Well, I have zero clue. So what does he say? It says like this. Ve'emsa ha'perek, if it's in the middle of a chapter, so let's say you say, no, I know it was in the second chapter. I know I finished the first chapter. It was in the second chapter. So yachzor larosh. So go back to the beginning of that chapter. In other words, looking at the Shema, if I know I made my mistake somewhere in this chapter, I just don't know where, go back to the beginning of the chapter. If I know it was somewhere in the second chapter, go back to the beginning. If I know it was somewhere in the third, go back to the beginning. That's the first rule. Okay? Second rule, ben perek la perek. Let's say I know that I finished the chapter. I know I finished it, but I don't know which one I finished. Did I finish the first one? Did I finish the second one? Did I finish the third one? I'm not sure. I know I finished something, but I don't know which one I finished. So, Yachzor leperek rishon. So go back. Basically, when in doubt, go back to the place where you're sure. So, you finished the perek. You know for sure you finished the perek. So, at least you're up to Vehaya, right? Because you finished one. So go back to Vehaya. I'm not sure, did I finish the first paragraph or the second paragraph, which would mean maybe I should start the second or the third, or just go back to the second one. That's what he says. Ben ketiva la ketiva. Okay, now very interesting. The word uchtavtam comes up twice. Let me make it yellow for you. You see uchtavtam, where is it here? Let me actually get rid of this. This isn't part of the text. Where did it say uchtavtam? Right here. Actually, let's do more than that. Why just that word uchtavtam? It's the whole line. Are these two lines identical? The lines are identical. Uchtavtam al mezuzot be'techa v'shach. It happens to be there. This one has only one vav in it. This one has two. But in terms of reading it, if you're reciting it, there's no difference. So let's say you said one of these lines. I don't know which one I said. What would you do if you had to guess based on the rules that we're saying? Go back to the first one. So that's what he says. Ben ketiva leketiva, yachzor leketiva rishona. Go back to the first one. So now Rabbi Yochanan is going to interject. And Rabbi Yochanan is going to say, just one qualification to that statement. Amar le Rabbi Yochanan. Rabbi Yochanan said to him, Lo shanu ela shelo patach b'lema'an yirbu yemechem. That's only if you said, Uchtavtam al mizor betecha v'sharecha, and you froze. But let's say you say, Wait, was that after the first one or the second one? Rabbi Yochanan says, the fact that you said the words, Lema'an Yerbu, what does that mean? That means you're up to the second one. Oh, but if you ask me, I don't know, it doesn't matter. Aval, patach be'lema'an Yerbu yemechem. If you started saying those words, Sircha nakit ve'ate, your habit is telling you where you're up to. Meaning, if you spit out those words, that means your brain, your body, your muscle memory knew where you were up to, and you could trust that. So if you ask me, was I actually up to the second one? I'm not sure. Rabbi Yochanan says you could trust your tongue. If you said those words, you could trust it. Now, I know a lot of kids that will say Laman Yarbu from the first one. I don't know. They'll just finish right away. So obviously, you can make a mistake. But he's saying in a case where there's a reasonable doubt, this is evidence for you to say it's the second one. So here, Rabbi Yochanan is telling you that adding to the Braita, that if you said if you said the word Laman, then you know you're part of this second. If you're saying you already entered this phrase, that means you can trust your tongue, you could trust your brain that this is where you're up to, and you could continue from here. Okay? So you're with me so far? Here's what happened. There's a chatan on the day of his wedding. Two rabbanim are building his chuppah. He says, let me go to shiur. He goes to shiur. The Tana, someone comes, tells a braita to Rabbi Yochanan that says, if you ever make a mistake, go back to the first one. If you're ever not sure, go back to the first one. Rabbi Yochanan says, but if you said leman, then it's okay. You don't have to go back to the first one. Okay? So this is what he says. So now look what happens. Ata ve'amalu. So he goes back to the chuppah. I mean, he's got to get married, right? So he left the yeshiva. He goes to his wedding hall. He goes and he tells Rabbi Ameh and Rabbi Yaseh, Amrule. So they said to him, Ilu lo banu ela lishmoa davar zeh dayenu. If the only thing positive that came out of this is that we learned this new law, it was worth it. Through coming to your chuppah, to build your chuppah, what happened is we learned this statement from Rabbi Yochanan. Wow. Okay, it was all worth all of the energy, all of the time off that we gave just for this. It was worth it. Okay, so who knows? Maybe they were giving him some kavod by telling the chatan, like, wow, you came and you test. Like, maybe he was saying, like, nothing special here. We knew this already. Unclear. No, but the idea here is that they're saying how this statement was very important. Why was this statement very important? Because what this statement is teaching us, what would you tell me if you had to generalize Rabbi Yochanan's statement? What would you say? How would you formulate it? Rabbi Yochanan said a statement that if you said Laman Yerbu, then that means you're up to the second one. What does that really mean?
That the second paragraph is not necessary.
Okay. No, what I'm sorry? Okay, very good.
Seems like it's saying that kavanah doesn't matter.
Okay, why would you say
Because he's even saying that, like, just like if you say that you start saying Aman Yerbu, so then even if you didn't know what you were saying, it doesn't matter.
Okay, that's actually it's a very nice twist. So in terms of, does this tell us that kavanah doesn't matter? What this is telling us is perhaps the kavanah of the second paragraph is not required. But we know that there's different opinions. One opinion says you only need kavanah for pasuk rishon, and some say the first paragraph. Some say the fact that he's saying, I'm not sure if I'm in my first paragraph or the second paragraph, or at least I don't know if I ended off. So then maybe if he doesn't know that he said ve'asafta diganecha v'tiroshecha v'itzarecha, so maybe it's a proof that maybe you don't need kavanah for that paragraph. That's yes. What else did you say? You said trust your gut. Yes. What did you say? No, you didn't say so. Yeah.
I don't just remember some sort of last check when it went.
Okay, very good. So part of what this is that your bot, yeah. So what we're seeing. Okay. So what part of what this is teaching us is that if you're not sure about something, what your tongue is familiar to say is a good indicator. Okay, meaning if you have a habit to say something, then that is something you could rely on in halakha. I'll tell you where this comes up. Halakha says as follows: if someone during the summer months says Mashiv Aruach Morid Geshem, the halakha is he has to go back to the beginning. Okay, let's say I don't know what I said. Okay, so it's been all winter. I've been saying Mashiv Aruch Morid Geshem, Mashiv Aruch Morid Geshem. I started Pesach. We changed. Now we're saying Morid Atal, and now something happens. I'm not sure. So there's halachot about this that most likely, if you're not being conscious, your brain is going to go to where it's used to saying. Most likely, you said Mashiv Aruch Morid Geshem, And that's what halacha is going to say. If you're not sure for that first month, basically, there's other indicators, but for that first month, you have to assume you said what you said in the past. It's not exactly the same, but what this is saying is that sometimes you have muscle memory. There's another very fun Gemara. It's Gemara Yerushalmi. It's quoted in the Bavli. Tosfot and Messiah Roshana quotes it, where one of the rabbis says, "Every day I have to thank my head for Modim, because when it gets up to Modim, my head bows by itself, and it reminds me where I'm up to in the amida. Because if not for my head bowing down when I got up to Modim, I wouldn't know where I'm up to. It's like your body is almost on autopilot. You think like, what? The Amoraim were saying this? The answer is yes. Amoraim were saying this also. Like it's not easy to focus. It's not easy to focus. Sometimes you lose focus, but part of it is like if all of a sudden your head goes like this, you say, well, I don't remember. No, you could rely on it. If your head goes like this, you could rely, I'm up to Modim. This is like one of the things that we're learning from here. That there are times where there's some evidence that you know where you're up to, you're allowed to rely on it. This is what Rabbi Yochanan is teaching us. Rabbi Yochanan says, you said Laman Yerbu, that means you're up to the second one. Okay? Now, your question, Ilan, was, can this apply to other things? Yeah, it can. And like the example I just gave you is Modim. Let's say you're in the middle of the amida. You don't know where you're up to. I don't know of any other situation like that. Yeah.
And so he said, he was doing it quickly with both memory and said, go ahead. You know what I'm saying? He jumped the paragraph.
Oh, from the first paragraph, he said, Yeah, he just skipped the whole entire paragraph. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, so that's wrong. Yeah, of course. He goes back to the Behayu. He goes back, really, he goes back to school to learn how to read. No, I'm kidding. He goes back to Behayu. Obviously, this is a situation where you're aware someone is making a mistake, you should correct them, right? So 100%, is it possible that someone in this first paragraph says, of course it's possible. But what Rabbi Yochanan is teaching us here is that when we're talking about a doubt. This whole thing is a situation of a doubt. When in doubt, if you're not sure, if you have a reasonable doubt, but you have some evidence, you could rely on that. Because it's already a suffix situation. You're already not sure if you have to go back or not. Now, this whole discussion is coming up related to the idea of reading out of order. Remember, we said if you read out of order, you didn't fulfill. But what happens if I repeat things? What happens if I read this already and now I'm going back because I'm not sure? So that's part of what this is teaching us. Like that's okay because you're in a doubt. When a doubtful situation, what are you supposed to do? Is this ideal? No. But he's in a doubt. You don't have to go all the way back to the beginning. You just have to go back to the last place that you know was correct. But in your case, where you know you said it wrong, or the Chazan, you're hearing the Chazan saying wrong, of course you have to correct him. Of course you have to go back to the place where you made a mistake. This doesn't mean that if you're always making mistakes, you now have the right to keep making those mistakes and then going to the latter one. Because Rabbi Yochanan said, Rabbi Yochanan is not talking about someone who's always making mistakes. He's talking about someone who is unsure. Now, the other thing is, nowadays, Baruch Hashem, we have Sidurim. They don't always have Sidurs. You have a Sidur. Open a Sidur. If you're someone that's going to be jumping around, open a Sidur, read from the Sidur. Don't leave it to your brain. Leave your brain for other things. Read from the Sidur so you don't have any of these mistakes. Okay, good. Oh, I wasn't even sharing screen. This is what I just showed. This is I don't know where I stopped sharing screen, but this is the first Uchatam, this is the second Uchatam, this is the Man Yerbu. Okay, let's go ahead. We're now going to start the new Mishnah on Daf Tet Zayin Amud Bet. Here we go. Tet Zayin Amud Bet. If you're looking in the art scroll, the Mishnah is starting on 16A2. Let's go. Ha'umanin, skilled workers. Korin Berosha Ilan Uvrosh Anidbach. They may read the Shema from the top of a tree or on top of a wall. What is this referring to? Sometimes there are people building a wall or building a house, and when they're building a house, they're up there, they're on top of the scaffolding, they're up in the sky, they could be up on a tree. Let's say someone is picking, their job is to pick apples, and he's sitting on top of the tree. So he's up there, and all of a sudden it's time of Shema. Can he say Shema Yisrael from up there or not? Sorry? Why wouldn't he be able to? Okay, excellent. So someone give me an idea. Why? Okay, excellent. Excellent question. And this is going to come up. Ulach means you could be in any position. So why would it be an issue? Someone tell me, what would the issue be?
Fine, because we wouldn't do it in those places.
What? Okay, very good. So, okay. So let's see the next line, and then let's talk about the difference. Ma she'enan rasha'in la'asot ken b'tfilah. They are not permitted to do this for tefillah, meaning for the amida prayer. So this is our rule, that for Shema, someone who is on top of a tree, he's working, or on top of a building, because he's on top of a wall, he's allowed to say Shema up there, but he's not allowed to say amida. So if he's going to pray shacharit, he's got to come down. But just the Shema Yisrael, when he does that, he's allowed to be up there. Okay? You had a question on this?
Say trees and stones were associated with like Elul Pep back in the day, so maybe that was the reason they didn't want to.
Oh, very nice idea. Very nice idea. I don't think that's what the commentators explain. Well, yeah, but that's nice. Yeah, question?
Does this have to do something with in the beginning of the Gemara when it talks about how like if you're in a building, it's not safe. Should it stay in there?
Okay. Excellent. Richard is talking about, is this related to the din of entering a mapolet, a ruin? What daf was this on? Not daf 1. No, nothing's on daf 1. Daf is no. Daf Gimel. It's on Daf Gimel. Daf Gimel talks about that you may not enter a ruin. That's a building that is dilapidated. You should not enter in it because it may fall on you. Actually, the Gemara gave us 3 reasons as to why. Okay, you can just do this for a second. It's a good time to take a break. What are the 3 reasons that we may not enter a dilapidated building? Go. Number 1, it might fall on you. I'm taking the easy answer. What's number 2?
Mazikin.
Mazikin, the damagers, the demons. Okay, very good. Number 3. Sorry? Marit Ayin, yes. For what? It's Marit Ayin, you're correct. Mipnei HaChashad, the Lashon of the Gemara, not Marit Ayin, but Chashad, suspicion. Suspicion of what? What'd you say? Yeah, very good. It seems like this is where someone would meet a hired worker to do promiscuous acts, a harlot. To go, they would meet them over there in this private place. So if all of a sudden everyone's watching, this guy goes into there, like, well, what's this guy doing over there? So for these 3 reasons, one may not enter into a mapolet. Okay, now you're asking for obviously it's not about the mazikin or the chashad, the promiscuity, but for the concept of maybe it's going to fall. Is that the same reason why you can't do this? Okay, so what you're going to have to answer is, if that's the case, which it might be, what's the difference between Shema and Amida? That we allow the workers to say Shema up there, but we don't allow the workers to say Amida up there. What's the difference? Sorry? You have to shuckle when you're doing the Amida, and you're going to play with the... Oh, you're 3 steps back and forth. Okay. Standing versus sitting. Okay. Josh said it. Josh, say it again. Kavanah. So elaborate. What about Kavanah? So, okay, very good. So what we're going to say, there's 2 basic answers. Answer number 1, Shema Yisrael is 2 pages. Amida is 20 pages. So if I ask you to have some kavanah on a tree, you could have kavanah for 30 seconds. Or if I tell you just for the pasuk of Shema Yisrael, you could have kavanah for 5 seconds. And then, you could be fine up there. But to do the entire Amidah, it should take you 5 minutes. It should take you 5 minutes to have kavanah for 5 minutes. Now, why is it that on top of a tree I wouldn't have kavanah? Because I might fall. Not that the building is going to fall, but I might fall. It's not a sturdy place. You ever see these guys working up there? They all have to have helmets, they have to have their harness, they have to have this, and still each of them are missing a finger or two, right? Like these accidents happen when they go up there. So this is something that someone's going to go up there and he's not going to be secure. It's not going to be safe. You think he's actually going to have kavanah? All of a sudden you have one wind and the whole thing starts flying. He's not going to have kavanah. So the nature of Shema is that quantitatively it's shorter than the amida, less time. Since it's less time, I can reasonably have kavanah up there. Whereas for a tefillah, I cannot reasonably have kavanah. There's another idea. The other idea is as follows. When we say kavanah, there's really two ideas. Kavanah number one means understand what I'm saying. For Shema, you have to understand what you're saying. But for tefillah, it's more than just understand what I'm saying. You also have to have the recognition that I'm standing in front of Ribono Shel Olam. I'm standing in front of God. For the Shema Yisrael, I don't have to have this recognition that I'm standing before God, because really you're not. Shema Yisrael, you're talking to yourself. But for tefillah, I'm standing in front of God. I'm focused fully on Him. I have to imagine that I'm in front of Him. I have to block out everything else. I have to have zero distractions. You can't do that when you're on a tree and you're going to come to fall. Shema Yisrael, I cover my eyes, I say Shema Yisrael. Even if I have kavanah and I know what all of the words mean, I could still look, I could still make sure I don't fall off. But to have kavanah, when a person is praying, he should close his eyes, he should focus, he should imagine that Ribono Shel Olam is there in front of him, whatever that means. Look at what Rashi says. I'm going to share you the screen and show you what Rashi's commentator is. If you look on the right of the screen, Rashi says, they're not allowed to pray tefillah on the wall or the tree, because prayer is asking God for mercy. There's requests involved. Shema Yisrael is not making a request. I have to understand what it means. But with tefillah, there's requests. It has to be personal. A person has to pour out his heart in prayer. Ubae kavanah, and he needs to have kavanah. Not kavanah of what the words means, but kavanah means a person has to be focused. Hilkach en mitpalelin berosh ha'ilan. Therefore, a person can't pray on top of a tree, berosh hanidach, on top of a wall. Why? The mistafeh dilma nafleh, because he's worried that he might fall. Anyone know Farsi really well here? How do you say unfortunately in Farsi? I've heard, anyone know? How do you say like unfortunately? Is it mota safoneh? Someone's got it. Someone on the Zoom? No one. Mota safoneh, I think it means like unfortunately. Okay? It's like something that you're scared of. Look at this. Mistafeh. Every time I see this word, I just think about that word in Persian. I just need to ask someone if that's what it means. But I'm pretty sure it's like you're scared of something. It's something that you don't want to happen. Mistafeh dilma nafeh. You're scared that you're going to fall. Because standing on top of a tree, you need balance. You're not actually going to have kavanah when you're up there. You're not actually going to be focused on your prayers. So back to Elon's question of why would I think it's a problem? The reason I think it's a problem is when you're on top of a tree, you're not focused on what you're saying. What you're doing is you're focused on, I'm not going to fall. Let me give it to you another way. Watching a football game. A different type of distraction, but it's the same distraction. Can I pray amida while I'm watching a football game? It's not that I'm scared I'm going to fall in that case, but but you're distracted. Maybe the Shema Yisrael, the Shema Yisrael you shouldn't. But let's say it's a commercial. Okay, it's a commercial. I don't really care that much. Okay, so you say Shema Yisrael, 5 seconds, you could focus, fine. But to pray an entire amida, commercial of a football game, okay, you're not going to have kavanah. Who are you kidding? Who are you fooling? This is why the workers, they're allowed to say Shema from up there, but they're not allowed to say amida from up there, okay? This is the rule of our Mishnah. Good? Good? Let's keep going. Next, unrelated or perhaps related somewhat, rule of our Mishnah. Rule or case number 2. So case number 1 is the workers on top of a tree or a wall, they may recite Shema, but they may not recite amida on top of that tree. Case number 2. Chatan patur mikriyat Shema, a chatan. And Ochzama Inshallah Be'ezrat Hashem for you guys in good health, for whoever's not married yet. On the night of his wedding, or when he's getting married, he is not required, he is exempt from saying the Shema Yisrael. Laila Harishona, ve'ad motzei Shabbat, from the first night until Saturday night. What does that mean until Saturday night? That means, as the Mishnah Masechet Ketubot tells us, that weddings were typically on Wednesday nights. This is when they would get married. They would get married on Wednesday nights. Nowadays, it depends on the communities, depends on what it is. They get scattered around. The time of the Mishnah, they would get married on Wednesday nights. So if you get married Wednesday night, what it's telling us is a person, a chatan, does not need to say Shema on Wednesday night, Wednesday nights from the wedding, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday nights. All the way through for 4 days, he does not need to say Shema. Im lo asa ma'aseh. If he had not yet had relations, which means Wednesday night, they get married, they have relations. So then the next morning, he already has to start saying Shema because they already had relations. But if the couple did not consummate their marriage on the Wednesday night or the Thursday night or the Friday night, whatever it is, and if they're not together, that's okay. He is still given his exemption. He doesn't need to say Shema until that time. By the way, nowadays we don't hold, for many, many reasons, we don't, practically speaking, hold this way, which means a chatan on his wedding night should indeed pray Arvit, should say Shema. The next morning he should say Shacharit, he should say Shema, even if they didn't consummate the marriage. But there's an idea here that's important. Why is it that a chatan does not need to say Shema on the night of his wedding? Oh! Osek b'mitzvah, patur min mitzvah. Where did we learn this? Yes? Let me think for a second. Gemara, Masechet, no. Daf Yud Aleph. It's in Masechet Berachot Daf Yud Aleph, and also Masechet Sukkah Daf Chafei. You gotta learn these things. Come on, you gotta know these things. We learned them together. It's been, it's only been 1 year of learning. No, I'm kidding. But the whole topic of Osek Mitzvah is on Daf Yud Aleph, right? You want to check me, Andy? Are you flipping? Andy's like flipping. He's like, I don't believe him.
I was actually going forward.
Yeah, it is. It's on Daf Yud Aleph. What is it? So here's the context. The context is over there. We spoke about how a person who's involved with the mitzvah, osek mitzvah, patur mitzvah, does not need to do another mitzvah. And not only that, but if someone his mind is preoccupied with doing a mitzvah, even though he's not actively doing it, he's also patur from saying Shema. How do we know? Because it says as follows. It says in the Shema Yisrael, in the Dibarta Abam, you need to say the Shema. B'shiftecha b'veitecha, when you're sitting in your house. When you're going on the way, the time that you're lying down, the time that you're getting up. So the Gemara says, why does it need to tell me I have to say Shema when I'm in my home or when I'm traveling? It says when you're sitting in your home or when you're traveling. So the Gemara says, I'll tell you why. Because when you're sitting in your home and you're not doing a mitzvah, but if you were doing a mitzvah, you wouldn't need to say Shema. Say Shema when you're sitting and not doing a mitzvah. If you're doing a mitzvah, you don't need to. And then it says, prat chatan. You have to say Shema, if you're traveling, you're leisurely going. But if you're not leisurely going, and instead you're preoccupied in doing a mitzvah, you are patur from saying Shema. So the two people that are patur from saying Shema is someone who is actively involved, or someone who is not actively involved in the moment, but is preoccupied with the thoughts of a mitzvah, and the preoccupation is holding them back from doing the mitzvah. That's okay. So a chatan, you're focused on doing a mitzvah. Focus on doing a mitzvah of getting married. Focus on doing the mitzvah of having relations. You don't need to say Shema. Now, what exactly is the preoccupation that's in your mind that you're saying, I'm not going to be able to say Shema, and I'll give you 4 days, but then after 4 days you won't. So what is it? Okay, very good. You said it exactly correct. There's two concerns. Concern number one is performance anxiety. Maybe this is his first time. Maybe it's her first time. Maybe he doesn't know what's going to happen. He's not sure how it's going to go. There's a lot of jitters. It's like, okay. Hashem says, you know what? Just focus. Don't say Shema Yisrael. Say there. It's fine. I'll take Shema. I'll take Shema starting on Sunday. But for these 4 days, take as much time as you need. Okay, that's one idea. Another idea is that if a chatan and kala, they're getting married under the assumption that she is a virgin. Okay? She hasn't had relations, meaning she's under this is what she presented as, and this is what she told him. And then all of a sudden they get married, and he finds out that's not the case, then that could be a very stressful situation because she lied, she's not honest, what do I have to do? How did this happen? When did this happen? So there's a lot of concerns because in a few hours, a man's going to find out if the woman that he's trusting to marry, if all of a sudden that trust has been abused, if you will. Okay. Obviously, if they had a conversation about it beforehand, then there's no concern of that. So there's different opinions as to what the concern is, but that is an opinion of the concern also. The opinion of the concern is he's going to find out, he's going to learn something new tonight. Whereas, Ilan, the concern that you brought up is the performance anxiety is not about that. It's not about something about her, but it's about himself, right? So either way, because his mind is focused on doing this, and this comes with doing the mitzvah, he's patur from saying Shema. That's what our Mishnah tells us. Now, Amrulo, next story, but related. Ma'aseh, Rabbi Gamliel. There was a story with Rabbi Gamliel, the rabbi. He was the Nasi. Shenasa Isha, he got married. V'kara Laila Rishona, and that night he said Shema. He had said Shema right away. So Amrulo Tamidav, the student said to him, leave him alone, it's his wedding night. But no, okay, the student said to him, V'matanu Rabbeinu, you rabbi, you taught us, Shechatan Patur Mikriyat Shema. You taught us that a Chatan doesn't need to say Shema. Why are you saying Shema tonight? Amar lahem, he says to them, Eini shomea lachem, I'm not listening to you. Levatel heimeni malchut shamayim, to, how do they translate levatel heimeni? To preclude myself, to exclude myself from accepting malchut shamayim, accepting the heavenly yoke, afilu sha'achat, even one night, even for one night. Like, leave me alone. I want to accept, I love Hashem so much, I want to accept Hashem. What do you learn from here? You learn from here that this is not telling you it's prohibited to say Shema. This is just saying you have an exemption if you want it. So Rabbi Gamliel didn't want it, so he would say it. He chose to say it. The students are saying, "Well, you don't have to." He says, "Okay, but I want to. I want to accept the heavenly yoke. I want to accept Hashem." This is the way Tosfot says explains that when we say Chatan Patur, that means he doesn't have to, but he can if he wants to. Okay? Yes. Question.
This worry about performing a mitzvah and accepting you from saying Shema, is that relate to other mitzvahs? Like, for example,
Yes.
if I read the Torah on the Torah, I'm freaking out the whole morning. Just reading.
Wow. Okay, excellent question. Richard saying they asked me to read the Torah. I'm reading the Torah, but now the entire morning my mind is focused only on that. So does that now mean that I don't need to say Shema in the morning because I'm focused on reading the Torah? Okay, excellent question. What do you guys think? Okay, Andy's saying his neck is about to snap. He's saying no. Yeah. Very good.
Necessarily a requirement to do.
Excellent point. Look, the mitzvah of getting married it's one of the mitzvot that the person has to do. A man has an obligation to have children. A man has a mitzvah of priya v'rivya, not to be alone. So this is one of the mitzvot from the Torah. So since getting married in kiddushin is a mitzvah, a bona fide mitzvah from the Torah. It doesn't now reading the Torah is, of course, it's a good thing, and of course it's a mitzvah, but it's not the same mitzvah from the Torah. It's not a rabbinic requirement for you to read Aliyat Revi'i. It's not a rabbinic requirement. That said, you should do it, but that doesn't mean that now you can go and say, okay, now I'm not gonna do a mitzvah of Shema. I'll tell you just because I could relate to you. Can I tell you when I relate to you? It's a wedding night and they ask me to give a speech. I get nervous. When I'm giving a speech at a chuppa, I say one word. Imagine I say the girl's name wrong. Yeah, like I take Rachel, Emily, or whatever. It's a friend's joke. But I'm not the one getting married, so it's fine. But just speaking at a chuppa, I get very nervous. And then they want to pray Arvit. I'm thinking about my speech. I'm rehearsing my speech. So I'm involved with that. But still, I got to focus. For one line, it's not the whole Shema Yisrael. For one line, that's the first pasuk, minimum Shema Yisrael, focus, and then you go ahead and have anxiety afterwards. But here, since it's a chatan and it's related to a mitzvah, there's a patur, there's an exemption. Nowadays, how come we don't say a chatan has to do this nowadays? Or how come the chatan doesn't have this exemption anymore nowadays? There's different opinions, but essentially, very good, Ilan. That's exactly correct. Because look, Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad. Is it really that hard for you to focus for 3 seconds, for 2 seconds to focus on that? It's not that hard. Maybe you could say back then the amount of focus they would have was like intense. It was intense focus. Like what is it so much for you that you're gonna skip saying Shema for 4 days? Like, well, this isn't a big undertaking, So since they say, look, it's something small, and no one really has a crazy amount of kavanah regardless. Okay, so you focus for 1 second and you say Shema Yisrael. All right. No, not tefillin. Tefillin he has to wear because tefillin doesn't need your brain. Because even if you don't have your brain, you could put on your tefillin. The thing with Shema is you need to understand. You need to have your brain. You need to know what it is, and your mind is somewhere else. Tefillin, okay, I'm not thinking, but I could put it on. You could do it through muscle memory. Shema, you can't. You really should be thinking. Yes.
Oh, they say like, well, saying, well, you don't have to say the Shema, and like, you typically don't have to say Arbi, for example.
Yeah, that would be included. Obviously, tefillah of Arvit, you wouldn't have to say if you don't have to say Shema. Yeah, fair enough. It requires more kavanah, and most likely it's rabbinic. Now, once a day is from the Torah, but it requires even more. Okay, excellent point. Yeah.
Sorry, just continue to ask questions on this. I've been saying for 4 days because maybe Kavanah or whatever the reason is. That's including any Shema, meaning the Shema of the morning, the next morning.
Okay.
That's like,
Okay, Josh is asking a good question. Josh is asking, is this the Shema of the first night? And okay, so when the Mishnah says, okay, it tells us it's the first night, the Wednesday night and beyond. It says until Saturday night. Now we know how many times do we say Shema every day from the Torah? Twice a day. So are you talking about the morning and the night? So you're talking about Wednesday night, Thursday morning, Thursday night, Friday morning, Friday night, Saturday morning, Saturday night, 7 Shemas? Or what's the other option?
Wednesday night, Thursday night, Friday.
Just the nights. Wednesday night, Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday night. So that's 4 nights. What would be difference between the night and the days? Why would we think that there should even be a difference?
Yeah.
Sorry?
Getting around the time.
Okay, very good. Very good. Based on what you're saying, I think if you line it up with the two explanations as to why he's even patur, you might end up with 2 different answers. Remember, I gave you two answers. One of them, Elon said, is performance anxiety. The other one is maybe you're going to find out something about her, and then you're going to find out that she's dishonest, and maybe you're going to have to get a divorce. There's going to be a huge fight. Okay, now based on those 2 answers, you might say it's referring to something else. If it's a performance anxiety, then it should be the time of performance. The time of performance, you're assuming, is only at nighttime. And generally, it's mostly at the nighttime, not in the day. So in the day, in the morning at 8 a.m., the guy goes to county size. There's no concern there. He's saying Shema. So that could be one. But if the concern is, I'm going to find something out, then it's not about performing. It's about until I have this clarity of mind, my mind I can't focus on anything. So what's the difference between the night and the day? And in fact, based on the way the Rambam sounds, the Rambam does not differentiate by saying the night or the day. He just says you don't have to say Shema. You don't have to say Shema. So the answer is machloket. It's probably machloket, and it probably relies on what's the reason. What's the core reason? If it's a performance thing, it would be night. If it's finding out something about her, it would probably be both. So it's an excellent question, and it's like a machloket.
I feel like it can't be exposed because it doesn't say you don't say amida. It's like
It doesn't say you don't pray.
It doesn't say
if it
don't
was
pray.
most of the day, it would have to say that's
At least once a day. Okay, excellent question. How come it doesn't say that? I don't know. I don't know.
So maybe it has to be performance because it has to be related to the night.
Excellent. I have to look this up. Excellent question. So Josh is saying from the very fact that our Mishnah, now you could also say that our Mishnah is focused mostly on Shema, because that's the topics of what we're talking about, and it doesn't really talk about tefillah. But
We mentioned amida literally like 2 seconds.
yeah, we mentioned that amida vis-a-vis because we were talking about tefillah by Shema. So okay, so excellent question. Is tefillah from the Torah? Shema absolutely is from the Torah. What about amida?
No.
Jared, how long have you been in the shiur? Baruch Hashem, you got it. The answer is machloket. It's a machloket between the Rambam and the Ramban. Okay, so essentially it's going to come down to this. According to Harambam, there's a mitzvah from the Torah that a person has to pray amida once daily. What's his source? His source is Gemara Masechet Ta'anit Daf Bet Amud Aleph. In Masechet Ta'anit on Daf Bet, it says Ul Ovdo Bechol Levavchem. You have to. We say in the Shema, you have to serve God Ul Ovdo Bechol Levavchem with your entire heart. Ezohi Avodah Shebalev. How do you serve God with your heart? Zohi Tefillah. This is what the Gemara Masechet Ta'anit Daf Bet says. This is what Rambam quotes to tell us that there is a mitzvah from the Torah that a person has to pray Amidah every single day. And because of this, we have this requirement from the Torah once a day. Chachamim came and said 3 times a day. So each prayer in and of itself is rabbinic. Unless a person is going to go through a whole day without saying anything, then it's from the Torah, right? So this is your question. If you're going to say that I don't need to say Shema, if I don't need to pray Amidah for 4 days in a row, so then that's something worthy of saying. You're asking a good question. I wanna look it up more. I want to research the topic a little bit more. Do we make a differentiation for a chatan between Shema and Tefillah? I don't think so. If anything, as we're saying, if we tell you don't need, the guys up on the tree, we said you don't have to do Tefillah, but at least say Shema. It's only 1 line. So if you're Iva Chatan, you're saying no, you don't even need to focus for 3 seconds. I would imagine for sure he doesn't need to pray the Amidah. That's what my logical idea is. What do you think, Andy? Yeah, of course. That's what happens. You know what the Sefer Eglei Tal says that when you study Torah, part of your goal of studying Torah is for the Torah to be running through your bloodstreams. You want the Torah to be in you. So the way you think, the way you feel is Torah. So you asked me a question. I don't know the answer, but based on something else, this is what I think. Although more likely than not, if I had to guess, based on like what Jared said, I would say it's a machloket if I had to guess. But we'll look it up. We'll look it up and we'll try to get a better answer. I'll get a better answer for you. Okay? Good. According to the Ramban, you don't need to pray every single day, but you have Batzar Lacha Ukraucha. The Ramban says the mitzvah from the Torah to pray is at times of great need, at time of distress, which means, according to the Rambam, you have to pray once a day. According to the Ramban, you don't need to pray every day, but you need to pray when there's a time of need, which means someone gets sick, they have a mitzvah to turn to prayer, according to the Ramban. There's some sort of a struggle, he has a mitzvah to turn to prayer. Because that's the moment where he's showing, Batzar Lecha, at the time that I'm in some sort of issue, something going on, my address is God. I turn to Hashem, right? So some say that really the Rambam and the Ramban who are arguing, they're actually saying the same thing. It's just a matter of, the Ramban says you need to pray to God at the times that you need Him. The Rambam says, I agree, and that's every day. I agree that you have to pray at the times that you need Him, and I'm telling you proactively, you need to pray every single day because you don't know what Hashem is saving you from today. You don't know. If a person is sick, then it's a time of need. But if a person is healthy, it's not a time of need. This is what the Rambam would say. If it's a time of need also. Just because you're not sick doesn't mean you don't need to pray to Hashem for your health. Why have to let it get to that point? So then a person has to pray every single day. Another caveat I'll mention about this is that in general, women are piturot mitzvot aseh she'azman grama. If it's a positive mitzvah that's time-bound, a woman from the Torah, women are not obligated to do it. Women are obligated to restrict from all of the negative. It says don't eat pork. They also have to not eat pork. Anything that's negative, they don't have to do. And if it's positive and time-bound, women are piturot. They're not obligated to do from the Torah. What about tefillah? Okay. So once you say, according to the Rambam, that the obligation of Shema is once daily, but it doesn't matter what time. It's not time-bound anymore. You wake up, you have to say at some, not Shema, sorry, Amida. It's not time-bound. So according to our Rambam, so ways Sfaradim hold, women are obligated to pray once a day. And it's not time-bound. So it's not like, oh, it's almost late for Mincha or something. Every day, once a day. Now the day starts at night. So Arvit, shacharit, mincha, one of them, a woman should say every single day. So that is an obligation. It's a mitzvah from the Torah. And even though it's a mitzvah that's said, but it's not considered time bound, so a woman would be obligated. Yeah? Good? Let me see if there's anything else I wanted to do. All right, we'll stop here. Okay. Any other questions? All right, Rabotai, we're in the month of Elul. It's a time of being sleepless and yawning. Okay, that's what the month of Elul is. It's the time of any changes that you ever wanted to make, any pushes that you ever wanted to make, anything in your life that you feel like I wanted to do this, I just needed the right moment. This is it. The moment is now. Now is the time to change. So if there's something new that you want to do, now is the time to push yourself. The time of with Torah study, the way we started tonight's shiur was what? That Torah can flip from kaf chova to kaf zechut, from being in a guilty state to a merit state. So now's the time to push ourselves to study Torah, to Be'ezrat Hashem, to remember the Torah, remember what the Rambam says. Torah is not something that's casual. Torah is something you need to put energy into. You need to focus. It's not something you do while you're doing 5 other things, but you throw your mind into it. Adam ki yamut be'ohel. You kill yourself over it. You push yourself to make sure to do it well. This is something that Be'ezrat Hashem, I think anyone who's coming to the shiur, you have this zechut. You could go up to Ribono Shel Olam on Rosh Hashanah and say, look what I got here. This is what I'm doing. But you could do more by studying more, by, as the Rambam says, it should be something that you say with your voice, something that you should hear, something that flows through you. Like the Eglei Tal, Sefer Eglei Tal says, that the more you study Torah, the goal that you have is that the Torah should be running through your blood. That's our goal of how much we want to study. Yiratzon Be'ezrat Hashem, may Hashem bless us all with a year of health, of Be'ezrat Hashem, a year of life, and a year of Talmud Torah, a year of studying of Torah ahead. Okay, Hazak Baruch. Have a great week, everyone.
Hazak Baruch.
Good night.